You don't like discipline. You like a structure that refuses to listen to your excuses. Welcome to the Kaikaku Method. This is Greg Swanson with Warrior Mind Podcast number 756. So the Kaikaku Method is a behavioral enforcement system that builds reliable execution for high-performing individuals, men, tired of negotiating with themselves. In today's podcast, we're going to be using working out and fitness as the subject or the context of this. But really, when you figure out that you can do this with your fitness, you can do this with work and relationships and other parts of your life. But there's a hard truth most hard-performing men eventually face. Awareness is rarely the problem. Execution is. And the gap between knowing and doing is where the Kaikaku Method operates. It's built to close the gap with structure, not inspiration. So the real problem, awareness is rarely the issue. We are aware of what we're doing. We're aware of what we're not doing. We are aware of it. So it's not being aware of it. You know what to do, specifically the gym. You've read the books, you've read the blogs, you've read all of that. You understand the discipline, you know all of that, and the execution still drifts, meaning you don't do what you know you should do. The gap isn't knowledge. It's not that you don't know or you need to know more. It is reliability. Reliability that you can count on. So this is the negotiation loop. It's an internal debate that destroys consistency. And again, that we're using this in the realms of fitness today, but think about it in the realms of getting stuff done at home, of relationships, of work, right? We decide what we're going to do. We're going to go work out. And then we feel resistance. Well, maybe I'm not so up today. And then we start to reconsider. Well, if I don't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow, because today I'm just so tired, because I'm so hungover, because I'm so this, so that. So we decide, we feel resistance to that decision. We start to reconsider that decision, and we justify not keeping that decision, and then we repeat it over and over. It may not be every day, but eventually, once you get into this loop, it shows up multiple times during the week. So this is not a strategy, right? This is complete instability. Whether it's at work, you are looking for a job. I'm going to decide to look for a job. Yeah, but if I do, what happens if I don't make it? What happens if I get fired? You know what? I'm not going to go look for a job, because really what I have isn't so bad. Right? So we keep going through this. And so the real enemy is internal negotiations. It's this internal debate and negotiations that you have within yourself that produces this lack of consistency as far as a result is concerned. And the Kaikaku Method is a structural reform, right? It's Japanese for its radical transformation. It focuses on complete overhauls rather than minor incremental improvements. If what you're doing isn't working, a lot of folks will just tweak that. No, this method says take everything out and let's rebuild it according to what we want. So it's a radical structural change. When I say structural change, it's how we think and how we behave, right? It's not emotional transformation. It's not these aha moments and, I know why I don't do this, because my mom ran over my teddy bear when I was young, right? This is not this emotional transformation. This is really just strict performance adherence. It's not an identity exploration. It's like, who do I really think I am? Do I think I'm a person? Do I think that? All of those have their place, but not in the Kaikaku method. This is complete transformation, right? It's behavioral enforcement. We want to enforce the behavior that you want to see. So the system does not explain you. It enforces you. It enforces you to keep your promise to yourself. Right? Execution before awareness is behavior first, insights later. So let's do the actions, and then we can think about why, where, how, all the insights that come to that action. Right? So it's stability before meaning you say you're going to go to the gym, you go to the gym. Not like, I think I mean to do it, or the meaning of this. The reason why I'm not going to the gym is because of, right? We don't want to get into the definition of why you're not going to the gym. And again, we can use this in any context, but we want to get stability. Stability, even if you say 3 times a week, you go 3 times a week. It's structure before identity. When you get to the gym, here's the structure, here's what you're going to do. It's not that, oh, I'm a lazy person, I'm a big person. Who cares about the identity? Get the structure in place to follow. And repetition before reflection. Right? A lot of times we'll go, oh, what's the meaning behind this? What's my identity? Oh, let me reflect on this before I get something done. And again, those things have their place in different contexts. But when we're looking at radically, that if the results you're getting aren't what you want to get, it's not because you don't know it, not because of anything else, it's because of this. So we need to build the stability, we need to build the structure, we need to build the repetition before anything else, and reliability before integration. Right? We need to know that we are reliable on ourselves when we have the stability, the structure, the reputation, the reliability. Then that starts to build this foundation. Right? Execution needs it. And again, the insight is not good or bad. It's just not the key result we're looking for in this method. Right? So it's a closed loop system. There is one path. It's you enter, you have a baseline of what you do, you have a commitment lock, I'm going to do this. Execution loop, you do it. Reinforcement, you keep doing it, and then you review. So enter into it. So this is the method that we're talking to. You enter into the process. I'm going to go to the gym. The baseline is 3 times a week. The commitment lock, you go 3 times a week. The execution loop is when you get there, what do you do? The enforcement loop, if I don't feel like I do it anyway, and then we review to see what happened. Right? There are no parallel paths. There's no personalization here. This is very unemotional. It's very cold, if you will, but it's required when we start looking at doing things for 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 8 years, 9 years, and we're not getting the results we want. We have to have a complete overhaul in how we approach, whether it's our career, whether it's our relationships, or working out. So we want a constraint environment, right? Physical training is the pressure chamber. And again, one more time, this podcast is more about the working out context, but it can be applied to anything. Right? We have progressive strength. We want to have a progressive overload. We lift a certain amount of weight this week. We either increase the reps or increase the weight. And up to a certain point, let's say 12 to 15 reps, then you increase the weight anyway and start back again. You have your strategic high-intensity interval training. You have your zone 2 conditioning. You have your recovery as requirement. And binary reporting, you start thinking about what's going on. Was this a good one or not a good one? Did I pass? Did I not pass? We want to stay away from gray area in this method. And I know if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, I kind of dance in that gray area. Well, this happens, that happens. But I've been working with a lot of individuals, specifically men, about careers and about life, and working out comes up. And inevitably, there's always an excuse why somebody doesn't get in the gym, why they didn't push themselves harder, because they're complacent and they're just going through the motions. And so this is where I looked into this Kaikaku method to try to help with a structure for men to follow, for anybody to follow, right? So training exposes negotiation. This is where the mind is target. When we think about waking up at 5 a.m. and going out, even running, going to the gym, the training really opens up a whole realm of internal dialogue about negotiation. Well, I'll do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll go light today, but tomorrow I'll go heavy. We have all this battle of negotiations that's got to stop. Right? So enforcement and consequences. Right? We have standards are protected. Right? If we miss it, we log it. If we have a pattern, we correct it. So misses turn into a pattern, and then there's continued violation. We escalate it in our own internal enforcement, and then chronic negotiation. We just remove those dialogues. So this is really coming to be like either you did or you didn't. It's like yoga, right? You either do retention is not the goal, reliability is. So retention, well, I'm going to stay here for a while, I'll do this. No, to get reliability. Can you help yourself? Can other people rely on you? And if they're watching you, using you as an example. The direct question, do you need night or structure? You already know what to do, right? I mean, if you're going to the gym, you already know what to do. If you're in your career, you already know what to do. If you're in a relationship, you already know what to do. You don't need more reflection on what I should do. You need a standard to stop revisiting these options. You know, execution without debate. Like, I know what to do. This is what I'm going to do. There's no debate about it. There's no, well, maybe it's the right time. Maybe it's the wrong time. Maybe it's the, no. You don't need another breakthrough in this realm. You need a decision to stop renegotiating everything, right? Again, really emphasizing working out, because that's where a lot of negotiation comes in, and pushing. Oh, I had a rough day, I'll have a donut here, right? All of that gets stopped. You have to have these strict standards that you live by. You know, the Kaikaku Method is a system that makes you keep promises to yourself without arguing about it. You make a promise, you do it. That's it. So the Kaikaku Method is not therapy, it's not trauma work, spiritual exploration, or biohacking optimization. It doesn't promise happiness, fulfillment, or transformation. It builds execution reliability. So when you're going to do something, you do it. It's a mindset of, these are my standards, I'm going to stick to them no matter what. You know, everything else is a potential byproduct. Reliability is the objective here. So if you want to see the show notes on this, which they go into a lot of detail over here, you can visit them at warriormindcoach.com. While you're over there, you can find other information about different topics in the form of blog posts and podcasts, as well as how to book your power strategy call. Since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest under Warrior